Okay, this presentation is how to get a bunch of signatures in the least amount of time. So, as libertarians, we need to get a whole bunch of signatures, maybe like 42,000. It would be great if we could all get them voluntarily without having to pay anybody. So what is the purpose of this petitioning? Is it to sell libertarianism? Is it to get signatures? Is it to have a good conversation? Is it to argue? Or is it to feel superior to other people?
No, I mean the whole thing is about just getting signatures.
Just getting signatures, exactly. We have so many to get, we don't have time to do anything else. If you're selling the Libertarian Party at the same time just because you're giving a good presentation as you're getting the signatures, that's fine. But you're not there to sell the party per se, just to get the signatures. That's the important thing. Now, when you approach this idea of getting signatures, a lot of people are really scared. They're really frightened of getting signatures. They're frightened, I think, of getting turned down, basically. I think that's the main thing. But what we must understand is there's going to be a certain amount of people who, number one, just don't want to get involved, don't want to put their name down on anything. Maybe they're not into politics at all. Maybe they don't like the Libertarian Party. We have to understand that psychologically, that those people exist, and not take it personally when they tell us no, we don't want to sign. I think a lot of people get discouraged because they get a few no's in a row, and then they start to think, oh, this is too difficult, I don't want to do this. And I would suggest that the more positive you are, the more hopeful you are about getting the signatures, the better you're going to be. And remember that there's a lot of potential libertarians out there. There's a lot of people who just believe in so-called democracy. And actually less than 50% of the people out there are political party affiliated. Alright, so you come with the right frame of mind to getting the petition's signatures. What's the next most important thing, in my opinion? It's just like in the property game. Location, location, location. That makes all the difference. Some people go door to door to get signatures. It takes forever. You want to go somewhere where there's going to be a lot of people, where it's well populated. Not too crowded so that people feel jumbled and pressured and want to get out of there. But enough that you have like a steady flow of people coming. If you pick those days, and you pick decent weather, pick the right place, you're going to get a lot of signatures, I guarantee it, as long as you have the right attitude about it. Alright, so where can we go? Well, if you're going to a private area, obviously you have to get permission from whoever owns the private property, if it's a grocery store. Sometimes the Jewel, you can, depending on the place, sometimes you can get permission. So, college campuses, train stations, those are all public supported. Best times are in the morning. People are just standing, waiting to get on the train. It's before going to work, it's a perfect time just to get 30, 60 quick signatures in an hour or two. Courthouses. Courthouses are great. Usually when people are coming in, it's a little more difficult. They're probably a little antsy, frustrated, whatever, having to go to court, unless you're talking to the lawyers. But usually, people are more willing to stop and listen to you when they're coming out. Also, when they're coming out of courthouses, a lot of times they're really ticked off at the system. Courthouses are great. I know the Kane County Courthouse, I've done it quite a bit. I've never been harassed there. But again, of course, you always want to be polite. Libraries, same deal. Rec centers, village halls. Here's a good one when there's a really good movie out, and it's one of those old-fashioned movie houses that are actually on the public streets, like Oak Park has York, Elmhurst. There's one. A lot of people are perfect. Yeah, people are just, well, a lot of times they're just waiting in line on the public sidewalk, waiting to come in to see a movie. It's a great time to get signatures, and you can just go down the line. Track events like 10K runs is another great one. There's a lot of sitting and standing around before and after. Find out where these runs are, and those are events that are starting to happen already, I would guess, or are going to be happening very soon. I mean, a lot of fairs are going to happen a little later in our petitioning period, but I think these runs and triathlons and that sort of thing, they're probably already starting to happen around here. Baseball games, Little League games, great spot. People are just sitting and watching. Now, there's be some parents, and I respect their space, respect for what they're really out there to see their son or daughter or whatever play, and you don't want to bother them. If you get any indication that you're bothering, go on to somebody else. But usually when they're sitting on the bleachers there, if you can get one person to sign, again, it's this herd instinct that seems to be so prevalent amongst people. You get one to sign, and if they're all sitting on the bleachers, and you have all your petition boards, and I'll get to that in a second. You want to have more than one. Start distributing, and they all sign, and it's herd mentality. They all sign after. But the alternative is true too. If when you approach something like a game, you should watch for a while and see who you think will be attentive, who might be one of us, maybe, and you try to go to them first. Because again, getting that first person to sign is so important. In the Geneva Swedish Day, which is the last week of the petitioning period, it's fantastic because it's all over the public area in Geneva, and there's tens of thousands of people there. Estate sales is another good. Check the newspapers, because what happens is people, the ones who are really into buying, you know what they're doing, they're waiting ahead of time in their cars for the place to open up, because they're going to rush right in right away. Or sometimes just waiting outside on the sidewalk. You can't get on the private property, but if they're just parked on the street, it can be a really good spot. Neighborhood-wide garage sales is another great place to get signatures. Gun shows, another good spot. Pot rallies. And the number one place that I know of getting signatures is our parades. Again, people out there, they got their little lounge chairs or whatever, just plop, sit and wait for the parade. Get there before the parade starts, and you can just go walk up and down the parade route, and with a bunch of petition boards, it is so easy to get signatures that way. Parades are great. I mention all these really good spots, and they're all good. They're all better than the best grocery store, by the way. Best grocery store, you're lucky to get 35, 40 signatures an hour. I am lucky to get that. Whereas at the state fairs, I mean at the fairs, I can get 60 an hour. Okay, so we got location so important. Your whole approach to petitioning is so important, and keeping that singleness of purpose of getting the signatures and not trying to get into arguments, not trying to sell anybody on libertarianism. So, when you present yourself, you want to think about how you are presenting yourself. What are your dresses and demeanor? And my suggestion is, and some people think, oh, you got to look professional and you should be wearing a suit and tie, because that makes you look professional. That's not necessarily true. If you're at some kind of formal meeting where other people are wearing suit and ties, fine. But I suggest that you dress as the Romans do for when in Rome. So if you're at a street fair, dress like it, only maybe cutoffs and a t-shirt, whatever. Dress as the other ones do. That you're making a rapport with your person that you're selling. And remember, we're always selling. Everybody has their own comfort zone, if you will. You'll approach some people and they'll just stop. And they don't want you. You can feel. They don't want you coming any closer to you. When I see those people, I stop too, and I approach. I ask them a question about getting a signature, but I don't get close to them. There's others that come right up to you, and you come right up to them. Be as buddy-buddy with them as they are with you. This is all very psychological. It's so important. Always be friendly, and Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Good afternoon. How you doing? You having a good time today? I'm horrible at small talk. If I can do this stuff, and I do it, anybody can do it. As I said, most people you talk to, they want to help. They would help you as long as it's not going to take too long. Now, every place I talk about, when I said location, there's going to be a lot of people there. It's going to do you no good getting a lot of signatures if you're carrying one petition board around. People don't like to wait. And you don't want for them to take that much time that you have to wait every time to hand another one off. When if you're holding 8 boards and there's 8 people there, and a lot of times people come in couples, you get one couple to agree, that's 2 clipboards. Maybe there's another couple with them. That happens a lot at like fairs and such. Or parades, of course, there's even more than, just all over the place. So as many clipboards as you can handle, where we have, good amount of people around, you need to carry them. Now, it's not that difficult. There's 8 clipboards here. There's 8 clipboards. I can do it. I can kind of do it like this and have a pen ready for a person. Now, when you're approaching people, and I'll discuss what we ask first, but in a second. But first, you want to keep that pen open. And when you're asking the question, you just bring them down to the line, with the pen. Everything you do, not only what you say, but every motion you make is encouraging them to sign. Okay? So you can do it. The easiest way I find is you want to have pens, get some cheap pens, relatively cheap pens, because you're going to lose them. You're going to forget, people are going to forget to give them back, they're going to pocket them. So you always have more pens than you need on you. And I would either clip it on a clipboard like that, and when you're ready to get somebody to sign, you just take it out, show them where. Or you can stuff it in your back pocket, whatever, or shirt pocket if you have it. A lot of ways you can do it, but keep those pens ready. Make sure you have the pens ready. You have clipboards and your pens, you're 75% there getting the signature. Now some people have just flat boards and they don't have any kind of binder. They'll just use rubber bands, like 2 rubber bands across. And when you do that, there is an advantage. You could have petitions on both sides. The problem is once you fill a sheet, it's kind of cumbersome to pull it out with the rubber bands and stack it underneath. So that's why I don't do it that way. But it's one idea. So getting back to equipment, you got at least 2 clipboards, up to 8. I mean, if you can handle more, even more. But I'd say 2 to 8 clipboards. If you've never done it before, at least start with 2. If you're going to carry 8, and I still, even as experienced as I am, once in a while I'm doing 8 and I'm at a parade, I sometimes don't keep track of my clipboards. It happens every once in a while. I have to think of, and I left one back like 30 yards away or something and retrieve it. If you're doing a parade, you got a friend that just wants to come along, like a husband or wife or girlfriend or whatever, boyfriend, just to help you assist with the passing out and the retrieving of the boards. That helps on something like parades, because you're moving pretty fast with the clipboards. When you do get signatures, we talked a little bit about the herd mentality. You always want to have a petition that people see that has at least 1 signature, if not more. Because again, the herd mentality, people, somebody else signed, I can sign too. Nobody likes to be the first one. Now, if you happen to starting a new page, if you have other clipboards with other signatures, you kind of show that first. In fact, sometimes it's because I don't have time. Other times, I purposely will let a full sheet, signed sheet, on that clipboard, and I'll hand it to them. And I'll go, oh, excuse me, that one's already filled. Put that underneath, and then you got them to start that new page. That's a great way to start a new page, where they see there's already a full sheet, and you're starting the new page. So, as I said before, greet with a smile. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good afternoon. Good evening. Lady, good evening, ladies. How you doing? that sort of thing. First question you ask, always, is, are you a registered voter in Illinois? Because if they're not a registered voter, it's not going to do us any good. They got to be a registered voter in Illinois. And then I would, there are a lot of approaches, and a lot of approaches work. What I have found best to work is if especially someone who's on the slate is a friend, or at least a good acquaintance you can call a friend, to say, excuse me, sir, good morning, sir. I was wondering if you'd like to help my friend Julie Fox, who's running for controller, just with the signature. They like to see that you're helping a friend, and so they can help you help a friend. It really helps than just saying, you know, I'm from the Libertarian Party, blah, 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 blah.
Now, Ken, can you switch it up because I look at it and you have more experience, so would you mind helping my friend such and such get on the ballot for comptroller, for, you know, that whole line, and then throw in, are you a registered voter in Illinois? Or have you found
I've done both. The problem with doing it that way is you've wasted some time if they say, I'm not a registered voter.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay. It seems, again, if you want to be efficient, it seems to me, you have to, I think if you just look at it as a rule of logic, you want to eliminate all the people that you need to eliminate right away. And the best way to do that is, are you a registered voter in Illinois? Now, some people will say, oh yeah, but I moved. But within, you can find out if it's within the state, get them to sign from their previous address. Now, we all know how efficient bureaucracies are. How long is it going to take them, even if they're registered in their new community? How long is it going to take for the state to switch that around? I don't know. I'd rather get their old address. Now, if they're already moved and registered, fine, get their new address. But if they haven't registered at that point in time, say, oh, just put your old address down, because you're still registered in the state. And that's the important thing, that they're registered to vote in Illinois. It's just going to take a lot more tracking if we get challenged and we have to check names and addresses.
And if somebody just moved to Illinois from another state, is that a valid signature if they put their own address in Texas, for instance?
They've got to be registered.
Okay.
Some things that you can, if people are pondering and thinking about it, whether or not they're signed, you can mention, what's the democratic way? Everybody should have the right to be on the ballot, right? Did you know that the Republicans and Democrats who set the rules make us get as much as 10 times as many signatures as we do? Most people are astounded when they hear that. They're absolutely flabbergasted. They can't believe it. Oh, that's outrageous. The only people who aren't are these establishment traditional Republican types. And you're not going to get them to sign anyway. I have found that women are more likely to sign than men. If they are party affiliated, Democrats are more willing to sign than Republicans. Unless the Republican is like not a social conservative and not a warmonger.
That doesn't happen much.
Then they are, but then they're pretty libertarian usually anyway. Who's more likely if you see groups of people coming in? If I see two women coming at me, or two men or two guys, especially if they're young. Oh, by the way, either old, very old like me, I'd say 60 or over, or around the 20s are more likely to sign than middle-aged. Middle-aged Republicans are the hardest people to get to sign. It's been my experience in the past. But if I see two men come and approach me, or two women, and they're coming equally at the same time, I'll go to the women first, because they're more likely to sign. If it's young versus middle-aged, I'll go to the young first. If it's middle-aged versus older people, I'll go to the older people first. Okay? If you have a group of people you're talking to, especially like at fairs and stuff, you might have like 5, 8 people. I try to give eye contact to everyone, and then I pick out who's giving me the most attention, who seems to be the most leader type, and then I'll start directing my focus to them. That takes, it takes a little time to get used to, but that's what you want to do. You want to focus, read everybody's eyes, who's really paying attention, who's alert, who's leader-like. Get them first. If you get that leader to sign, once they agree to sign, what else should you talk about?
Nothing?
Nothing.
Move on?
Shut up. What's the first rule about sales? John, you know this. Once
Get the signature and
once you make the sale, get the signature, shut up, don't talk yourself out of the signature. I've seen it happen, I've done it myself. It's harder to do than just to say. Because you got this affinity with people, then you start feeling relaxed and you start talking. And the more you talk, the more they're going to find one issue that they don't agree with you with. And they say, oh, give me that back. Above all, don't get into arguments. If people don't want to sign, move on. If they discuss an issue and you happen to disagree, respectfully, sir, we'll have to disagree on that issue. A lot better than, I mean, you can politely discuss things, but don't get heated. Don't ever get in a heated discussion with them. And that kills it for a while. Whoever's watching, standing around, they're not going to want to sign your petition because they're going to think you're a jerk. No arguments. When people do sign, the last column is for the county. But most people, when they sign their name, address, town. Just by habit, what's next comes after that? Town, zip code. A lot of people are going to be signing, putting their zip code where it's supposed to be county. You have to watch for that. Because once one zip code is down, then people see that zip code and then they put the zip code down too. And you could get up, 10, 15 zip codes. And then you're going to have to do your own work of figuring out what that zip code, what county that's in. It's going to take you more time. So try to watch for that people aren't putting the zip codes notes for the county. Okay? Ditto marks are okay, not for signatures, obviously. People have to make their own signatures, and some people say, well, can I sign for my husband? No. You can put everything else in, but your husband has to sign. Nobody else can sign. The signature is a personal thing. They have to sign. But if, let's say, the husband signed and the wife signs underneath it, and it's the same address, they'll just do the ditto marks. That's okay. You'll have to fill them in later. But actually, I don't mind that too much, because that just means you're getting that signature faster. In your free time, when you're watching TV, you can always be filling in those ditto marks. Okay, some talking points. To sell us, well, Illinois. Illinois is a basket case. The major parties have made us a basket case. They continually make things worse. We become more and more in debt. This state is virtually bankrupt. Isn't it time for a change? If you keep on doing what you've always done, you'll keep on getting what you always got. Why not give the Libertarians a chance? This is just to get us on the ballot. It doesn't mean you're voting for us. Just to get us on the ballot. Give us a shot. Just to get on the ballot. Maybe we have some answers that the Republicans and Democrats haven't had for the last 50 years. What do Libertarians stand for? I'd like to keep it short and sweet. Live and let live. Most people agree with that. Free markets, personal rights, individual freedom, self-responsibility. Now, above all, my main tip to newcomers petitioning who are a little fearful of it is don't pick a bad day. Don't pick some street corner that has just a few people around when it's raining or cold. Pick an ideal day to start. Pick someplace, again, there was an event, either parade or a fair or a 10K run, something where there's enough people and the weather's decent enough that people don't mind standing around and signing for you. Because if you don't pick a nice day, you're going to get discouraged and you're not going to go back out. And it takes a little courage, even though I've done it for so long, just to get yourself out to do it, it takes a little bit. But I have a blast. Once I'm out there, I have a blast. It's really a lot of fun. And if you make it a game and you see how many signatures did I get this hour, can I beat it the next hour? I got 40, maybe I'll get 50 next hour. it gets fun. And you know, I do a lot of love affairs because, you know, I'll reward myself. I got 60 that hour, so I'll have a beer at the beer tent or something, have a brat or whatever with the beer. You know, sit down, relax, and sometimes I get signatures that way. I sit down, people see the petitions, and the people sit around the table and say, well, what are you petitioning for? Blah, 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 blah. I'd like to help us out, and they still get signatures. So, make it fun. Don't make it drudgery. Go out on the nice days with a lot of people. I can't emphasize that enough. Go to times and places where there's people, and you'll do fine. And we'll get libertarians on the ballot, and maybe we'll eventually turn things around. Thank you.